Welcome to Spurs Focus, your go-to spot for daily Tottenham news, transfers, and match updates. Don't forget to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button now. Let's dive into today's top story. A new era is underway at Tottenham. Tottenham Hotspur. With Daniel Levy stepping down after 24 years, CEO VINAI VENKATESHAM has made it clear that the Lewis family, who own Tottenham through ENIC, are set to invest in the club to ensure it can enjoy more success on the pitch. It has been a big week at the North London club, with Executive Chairman Daniel Levy stepping down from his role after 24 years. Football.London reported that the Lewis family were looking to modernise the hierarchy at Spurs with a CEO in the much sought-after VENKATESHAM, after being disgruntled at the lack of success on the pitch in recent decades. On Monday, the club also confirmed ENIC had rejected approaches from two different parties looking to buy their stake. An Asian consortium of investors, led by Dr. Roger Kennedy and Wing Fai Ng through Firehawk Holdings Limited, are understood to have indicated an informal intention in their approach on Thursday to make an offer, the day Levy left his role as executive chairman after 24 years at the Premier League club. Amanda Staveley and PCP International Finance Limited are believed to have shown enough interest, without making an actual indication of a forthcoming bid, to trigger takeover panel rules on disclosure. Football.London reported on Thursday that ENIC had no current intention of selling the club, and sources close to the Lewis family, who run Tottenham owners ENIC, reiterated on Monday that the Premier League club is not for sale. Now, VENKATESHAM has delivered a detailed interview on the way forward at Spurs, with plenty of clarity on subjects such as incoming investment. The Lewis family, I think it's really fair to say that it was big news last week, with the announcement on Thursday that Daniel is leaving the club. But what I would say is that the club is well organised for succession, so we have a very strong executive team in place. And while it might feel like a slightly strange thing to say to the external world, although it's big news inside the club, it really is business as usual. But I really wanted to start today by paying tribute to Daniel. What he has done at this football club over the last 25 years is extraordinary. He has played a huge part in the transformation of the club, and there are so many examples. The training centre, the stadium, the media centre that we're just sitting outside now. His contribution is there for all to see, and I think his legacy really is extraordinary. For me personally, obviously I was expecting that I was going to be working with Daniel for many years. It's ended up only being a few months, but he's been a wonderful support and counsel to me during that period, and I feel really settled in. And I think also at a time like this, it's really natural to pause and look back and reflect. But I also know in my job it's really important to look forward. And this is a new era for the club under new leadership, completely backed by a majority shareholder, the Lewis family, so we can feel optimistic and ambitious for the future as well. Sure, I think in terms of the foundations, and you've heard me talk a little bit about this before, I think we've got an extraordinary stadium. We've got an extraordinary training centre. I admit I'm biased because I grew up in London. I think we're based in the best city in the world, and we've got a massive global fan base. We saw in May in Bilbao what that next step is. That next step is competing for and ultimately winning major trophies. We've had a taste of that. It's even better than you imagined. You realise that the club is even bigger than you thought it was, and you're hungry for more. And that's what everybody associated with this football club is, hungry for more. Nights like that. Well, first and foremost, I know the Lewis family really well. I think it's important for our supporters to know that they're very, very passionate about Tottenham Hotspur, and they're ambitious for the club. And when I talk about their ambition, what they're really focused on is ensuring that everything that we do across the complete breadth of the club really centres back and is focused on giving our men's team and our women's team the best chance to be successful on the pitch over the long term. So that's their laser focus, all around being successful on the pitch. They know, of course, that we operate in a very competitive environment, and that there are a number of other teams that have the exact same ambitions we have to compete to win the biggest trophies in the game, so we know it's not easy, and we know that there's hard work ahead, but that is the focus. They're also focused on stability. They know there's been lots of change at the club, and now it's time for some calm and for some stability. What about Peter Charrington and his role? Sure, well, Peter is not new to the board. He joined our board in March. He is a great guy, very personable, very experienced. We have a great relationship and we speak very, very frequently. I think it's probably important to say that he's going to be doing a different role to the role that Daniel did. So Daniel was executive chairman. So what that meant was Daniel was full-time and involved in the club on a day-to-day basis. What Peter's role is that he will be non-executive chairman, and that means he won't be involved in the club on a full-time basis, and he won't be involved in the club on a day-to-day basis. And his model is all around empowerment. He will be empowering us on the ground to get on with things, but of course he will be leading the board and will be a very important part of the club going forward. What about for you personally? What does your role entail? Well, I think it's fair to say it's been a very, very busy 3 months. There's not been much in the way of weekends, evenings. Actually, there's not been much in the way of sleep, so it's been a very busy start. But everybody's been really welcoming inside and outside the club. Very warm, very welcoming. So I feel really, really settled in. I'm enjoying it, and I'm looking forward to the challenge ahead. A really important thing to be clear on is, this is not just about me, and it's certainly not all about me. Everything that we achieve at the club will be part of a team. And I mean that. So naturally, I guess as chief executive, my name ends up in the media, and I end up sitting here and doing an interview with you. But we've got 800 people at the club, and we need everybody in the club pulling together to drive us forward. This is certainly not all about one person or a small group of people. There was talk of a takeover. Can you just go into a little bit what the club's stance is on that? Yeah, I've seen that very quickly. As you say, there's been a lot of newspaper articles and a lot of media speculation around takeover, so I can be really clear on this. So the Lewis family are really clear. They see their involvement in Tottenham Hotspur being long-term, and they see their involvement continuing through the generations. We made a statement very late last night, and a statement I hope was unambiguously clear, that Tottenham Hotspur is not for sale. What does this mean in terms of investment into the team that will take the field, on the men's and on the women's side as well? Sure, so I need to try and answer your question without leading to a whole load of transfer war chest stories tomorrow. I think it is very fair to say that we have firm backing from the Lewis family against our ambitions to be successful on the pitch, both on the men's side and women's side. They know that's going to require investment, and we have their firm backing. But I would also say, like all other 20 Premier League clubs, we also need to make sure that we're also cognizant and aware of the financial fair play rules, and that means we need to continue to grow our revenues. We need to continue to develop players both from the academy and young players that we buy. We need to make sure that we're selling players at the right time, and we also need to make sure that every time we're recruiting a player, we're making smart decisions both from a sporting and a financial perspective. If you don't do that because of how the financial regulations work, you can find yourself in a position where you've got money to spend, but the regulations don't allow you to spend it. So I guess to summarise, absolutely there's financial backing against the ambition we have, and like every other club in the Premier League, we need to do that in line with the financial fair play rules. What comes next? As I said at the start, it is business as usual in many ways. When I joined, I talked about wanting to do 3 things. The first is doing everything I could to support our excellent technical teams on the ground, both on the men's side and the women's side, to give us the best chance to be successful on the pitch. That continues to be a focus. I said my second focus was going to be around our people at the football club, making sure that we're doing everything we can to empower them to be at their best, to drive the club forward and have the best people with the best culture to deliver against our ambitions. And the third one, our relationship with our supporters. Make sure that they're right behind us, make sure that they understand what we're trying to do, communicate better with our supporters, and ultimately make them proud of what their football club's trying to do and what our football club over time will deliver. Tottenham's message is clear: the club isn't for sale, the vision is long term, and the focus is on success on and off the pitch. Big steps ahead for Spurs. Thanks for watching. It definitely hurts. That's how Mathys described being cut from Spurs' Champions League squad. But instead of sulking, the 20-year-old vows to turn disappointment into motivation, promising Tottenham fans he'll come back stronger than ever. Mathys admits it hurt when Thomas Frank called him to tell him he would be left out of Tottenham's Champions League squad. Spurs have long had problems with European squad registration due to a lack of club-trained players and a surplus of non-locally trained ones, and that meant new head coach Frank had to leave out 6 senior stars from his squad to play in the 8 league phase matches of the Champions League in the coming months. The Dane decided to leave out the injured James Maddison and Dejan Kulusevski, centre-backs Radu Dragusin and Kota Takai, midfielder Yves Bissouma, and Tel, despite the 20-year-old Frenchman having only signed for Tottenham in a £30 million deal from Bayern Munich in the summer after his loan move was made permanent. Tel explained to the media, while on France U 21 international duty, how Frank had let him know the disappointing news. Quite simply, with respect. He called me, he simply told me his choice, and then you could see the list appear on the networks, said the attacker. As quoted by Le Telegram, "It's clear that when you're not on a list it definitely hurts, but I'm someone who stays pretty positive, no matter the situation, because I think I've worked a lot on the mental aspect, so today it's definitely a disappointment. I would have liked to be there. But the coach's choice is the coach's choice. We can only respect it, and we're going to work to come back in the best possible way." Tel was asked whether it had made him want to leave Spurs or simply do better to take his own form of revenge on the decision to exclude him from the Champions League squad. "No matter, even if I was on the list, I would have had this desire to be revengeful, to be able to be effective this season, to be able to start my season in the Premier League, because now it's a first long season that begins, because last year it was in the form of a 6-month loan," he said. "A desire elsewhere. I am under contract with Tottenham until 2031, so I am a Tottenham player, and I will do my best to be able to play quite simply." Tel admits that his initial half-season loan spell with Spurs could have gone better as he struggled to hit the ground running in an injury-ravaged Tottenham side without a striker. "Knowing what I'm capable of, knowing all the abilities I have, I think I could have done better," he said. "In any case, we can all do better, but I would say that it's an encouraging setup." Why? Because it forces me to know the weak points, the things to improve, so there's always room for improvement that we have to aim for. Whether in life in London or on the pitch, I think it can be better. Everything can be better. Absolutely everything. I learned that no matter the situation, no matter why you're called to a club, you have to be patient, because there are times when it happens, times when it doesn't. That's life. Sometimes there are things we deserve that we don't receive. But in life, do we get everything we deserve? Not often. I've grown in maturity, in experience, and I think that today it has shaped my personality, and I would say my character especially.